What's up, everyone? Welcome to Pat's Chat. I'm Doug Kyed, joined as always by Michael Hurley. Michael, how are we doing today?
Good. You want a scorching take off the top? I developed a take today, and I said that'll
Hell
be good
yeah.
for the podcast.
I love a take.
Today in Massachusetts, it was the perfect weather day. This is the day, the
What?
absolute perfect weather, 40 some odd
Are
degrees,
you kidding me?
sunny. You wear a light jacket, you get that cold breeze that hits you in the face, but not like cold, just like a nice, crisp, cold breeze. You get a coffee, you walk around. You can walk all day in this weather. It's perfect. You're not sweaty, you're not cold. It's perfect weather. I could live in it 345 days of the year. I would like a little beach time.
Your perfect temperature is like 45 degrees?
Yeah. Give me like a light jacket, throw a little fleece on.
No way.
Yeah, that's my take. Listen,
I could understand it like the other day when it was like 55 or 60 or something.
too
That's
warm,
too hot for you.
too warm. It's disgusting.
This is
I like
this is
sleeves.
not a hot take. This is a nearly freezing cold take.
Nobody, when you have arms as hairy as mine, you don't want to show those things off. You want to keep them covered all year long.
I don't run particularly hot, so maybe I'm just I don't know. We
I'm
we
a
are
hot
not
boy.
seeing eye to eye on this take.
Listen, we don't do half takes on this show. We do hot takes, and that's mine. I loved today. I wish every day was like today.
I would say like 68 degrees is like the perfect temperature outside. It's just
Well,
too hot for you.
you're just soft, and I'm just brave, and that's all there is to it.
I am. I was born in Seattle. I don't have that I don't have the New England blood. I've tried to develop the New England blood. There is a certain point every year where I'm like I'm not going to wear a jacket anymore. I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
like I'm just going to wear a sweatshirt. And I will say, while we're talking about me being soft, no big deal. I go to the gym almost every morning. Every morning, and it's after I drop off Olivia at school. So I drop off Olivia at school and immediately go to the gym. Every single morning, I wear shorts and a sweatshirt. I
mhm.
like, and that has been through I do not ever wear pants if I'm going to the gym. And I never wear a jacket to the gym either because I don't want to have to change once I go to the gym. I don't even want to take a jacket off when I go to the
Mhm.
gym.
Yeah,
So
you are not soft.
while calling me soft, not
We
always
retract.
soft,
We
every
retract.
morning. Yeah.
Do you know who wasn't soft, and do you know who was known to occasionally ride shirtless through the streets of Boston in the month of February?
David Andrews.
David Andrews. That's called the transition. That's called a segue into what our main topic is.
I'm also impressed that you're the one getting us back on topic. This might
You
be
know
the
what?
first time ever.
Once upon a time, Doug, I did many things in this world, including get back on topic once in a while.
All right. Yeah. So back to a serious conversation. It sucks. It sucks that the Patriots released David Andrews.
Yep.
And the timing of it, not gonna lie, was real weird
Hmm.
because today was supposed to be about the Patriots celebrating their free agent signings. If you don't know, Mike Vrabel, Eliot Wolf, Robert Kraft all spoke. Mike Vrabel answered questions. Then four of the biggest Patriots signings: Milton Williams, Robert Spillane, Morgan Moses, and Carlton Davis all held press conferences. But the biggest story of the day was the fact that the Patriots released their captain and center and a guy who's been on the team since 2015. And it opened them up to questions about, hey, why'd you release David Andrews? And like now you have even more holes on your offense. So, I mean, if
Well,
personally,
it,
if
well,
I were
well.
the Patriots, I would have done this yesterday. Let the David Andrews release live in the media sphere for 24 hours and then introduce everyone. But sometimes these things happen, I guess.
I guess what you're saying, I would throw in with the idea that if he can play and wants to play, he should be given the opportunity to compete for that. And then if it doesn't work out in camp, then you make a move. Is that sort of the thought process in your mind? What would be better? Because I don't know, you reported out of the combine that center was going to be a free agency
Mhm.
target. I understand that could have been a long-term concern beyond this year, but was there an inkling or an idea 2 weeks ago that Andrews might not be coming back?
Yeah. Once center was on their list of potential free agents, especially like Drew Dahlman. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
it
because like
seemed like
you don't get a free agent center to play in
no.
2026.
Yeah, right. Like if and so that's when it was like, oh, Andrews might not be back, but they didn't sign a
Well, I was gonna
center.
say they got one, right? They got a
No,
center and free.
no.
No, like because they. So then they didn't release Andrews, right?
They did release Andrews. They
That's-
don't have a center. So that, like, I think once you don't land the center, I think what you want to do is keep Andrews, draft a center in the 3rd or 4th round, play this out like the Eagles did with Jason Kelsey, and the fellow who took over for him that I'm
That
blanking
guy.
on at this moment. And then, like, you kind of see what happens in training camp at that point.
Right.
His name is
Cam
Cam
Jurgens.
Jurgens. So that's what I would have expected once you don't land the center, is to say, like, okay, we don't know where Andrews is at. He had the shoulder injury last year. There's no guarantee last year, even when he underwent the shoulder surgery, that he would be okay this season. So you just kind of like let it play out. He wasn't making that much money. And maybe Andrews isn't Jason Kelsey where he like hand picks the guy or whatever, but like at least he can teach everyone what Josh McDaniels is expecting, help learn the offense, groom this next center. And then once September 1st rolls around, you say, are we keeping David Andrews, or are we going to start this rookie, and are we going to part with David Andrews? To do it now, like, especially now, like, this center jobs are filled. So if David Andrews wants to keep playing, there's like there's not a lot of teams left to even sign him at this point.
Yeah. And Doug, this is my takeaway from that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If you're going to go back to the 2018 season, that would be 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 7 years ago. So the number of Super Bowl winners left on the Patriots now, like that's like Juwan Bentley was a rookie, didn't play, but and Joe Cardona was on the team. Most of the roster wasn't even in the NFL the last time the Patriots won a Super Bowl. So that's why, like, life moves on. The sands of time continue to fall. But that's why the move is so significant, even if Andrews is too hurt and even if he's going to retire, which I don't know. Didn't you feel like, I don't know if you read Reese's report on it, Mike Reese's report. It felt like there was some in between the lines that it's leading toward retirement. That was,
I think,
the
certainly
feeling.
it's not being ruled out for sure. Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's the significance of the move, where Jonathan Jones just left the team. He was a 2-time champion. Dietrich Wise just left the team. He was a 1-time champion, if I'm not mistaken. And you had David Andrews, a 2-time champion, who was there for, even the Super Bowl loss in 2017. Mm-hmm. It's just the end of, like, we know the era's over. Tom Brady left, Bill Belichick left, but as it's Matthew Slater left, Devin McCourty left. It's just sort of the last, I'm not going to use the word right, last vestiges
Yeah,
of the dynasty days are fading away, and that's a big deal. That's what Patriots football was, and emphasis on past tense was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? I'm looking at that 2018 roster right now. It's pretty wild how few players are even still in the NFL, which is
a long
like
time ago. It was almost a decade ago. In NFL years, 7 years.
It makes sense that you're losing all of these guys. Like, yeah, players just don't really stick around that long. Like, from what I'm looking at, Cordero Patterson, Trent Brown, Ted Karras, Shaq Mason, Joe Thuney, Adam Butler, Dietrich Wise, Landon Roberts, Kyle Van Noy, Stephon Gilmore, Joe Cardona. I think that might be it. That's wild. It's like 10 guys.
What about Ryan Allen?
I don't think he's in the NFL.
Damn,
I don't think he's been in the NFL for a while.
Too much bench pressing.
Ryan Allen was not a big muscle man.
No, but wasn't that the big? Didn't he have a dispute with the?
That was Jake Bailey.
Oh wow, that's just shameful. Allen, that was his last game with the Patriots, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah,
he was like MVP of the damn Super Bowl, and then went out a hero.
Right.
That's my bad. I want to apologize to the Pats Chat listeners and viewers. They've had some great punters over the year. We know Zoltan Mesko was the best of the best,
of course.
And we know Jake Bailey came in and had a great rookie season and was never good again because of the bench pressing. Ryan Allen, I apologize to the entire Allen family as well. He was great that game.
There are a couple other guys left on, like, Dan Skipper, he's still in the NFL.
Lions.
Juwan Bentley, Braxton Berrios, and Isaiah Wynn. Still like 13 guys, something like that. It's a
long time ago.
Yeah, it really is. So, I mean, that was a rabbit hole we just went down for no reason. But it seems like what Mike Vrabel said in his press conference is basically the reasons why they cut him. It's like a combination of age, performance, durability, all that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, he missed last season with a shoulder injury. He's getting up there in age. I think maybe there's even a question once he's coming back from the shoulder injury, like, how good is he still going to be?
Well, there was question when he was getting the surgery from himself that
Yes.
he wasn't sure if he'd be able to come back from it.
Right.
So it's not out of the blue or anything. I feel like he was pretty open about that last year when he underwent the surgery in
Right.
October, November, whenever that was.
Right. Yeah. So it's not like that aspect is not a shock, but it is surprising for them to have done this on Thursday after free agency started when they don't have a better option. Because I said this to you via text. I put out there that the Patriots like don't have a sure thing now at left tackle, left guard, and center. And I was pretty shocked by the amount of people that were like, "What do you mean? We have Ben Brown and Cole Strange." Okay, Ben Brown, Ben, sure, maybe Ben Brown at some point
Under
will
the
be a better player.
circumstances, Ben Brown was very good under the circumstances.
Right.
Under the circumstances.
But
That's the
even
key
still,
word.
Ben Brown was still probably like a bottom 5 center in the NFL. And not only that, like he was a starter on the worst offensive line in football last season. And you could say like, well, Michael Onwenu was too, but like we know who Michael Onwenu is. We know what his contract is, and we know that he was jerked around and played in way too many positions.
Do you want PFF grades for Ben Brown while you're here?
What was it?
Do you want PFF grades for Ben Brown while you're here?
Yes.
All right. So his overall grade was 52.8, which ranks him 54th out of 64 centers. His pass blocking grade was 47.3, which is 56th out of 64. And his run blocking grade was 59.7, which puts him at 38th out of 64, which is his best of the three, which isn't really saying too much.
No, he did the best he could under the circumstances, but in no way, shape, or form do you want in March to say, I want our week 1 star to be Ben Brown. And
man,
for Cole Strange, the gentleman has played 1 game at center. Like
it was tough too.
Like maybe like, and I don't mean this is probably just a few Patriots fans who said this. I don't mean to like go at them this hard, but like most NFL teams have certainties at positions. You aren't saying, well, we think he can be a center. Like he did it once last year. Like this is my favorite. Like he profiles well as a center. That's amazing that he profiles well as a center. He's entering his 4th NFL season and he's played 1 game at center and he wasn't particularly good at it. You cannot under any circumstances say March 13th, our starting center is going to be Cole Strange. We know well enough about him right now to say, so like they need to do something else. Yeah. Maybe they draft someone, maybe they trade for or sign Garrett Bradbury, depending on what the Vikings want to do with him or what they feel like they have to do with him. But like they need someone who they know can play center. They can't go into this with like, hey, yeah, that guy was okay. Like, it's not a realistic situation.
I mean, his grades are what they are because he didn't play much, but his PFF grades for last year at center, they have him as a center. Yeah. Didn't he play? I mean, whatever. His pass blocking grade, 79.0.
Cole Strange?
6th.
Wow.
Against the Bills team that didn't want to win and had all their 9 stringers in. Run blocking grade 40.4, 63rd out of 64 for an overall grade.
Wish we had a snapping grade in there.
He sucks at snapping. He's like, I can't forgive that. I mean, you could probably learn that, you would think, but he didn't last year. But no,
Nick Leverett didn't learn it for an entire summer.
Remember that last year? It was like there was one man on the team who could snap the ball. His name was David Andrews. Anyone else went in, it was a fumble. And it was just like, great. There's that. Well, how could that bite you in the ass? But I think the story is.
What happened to David Andrews?
Oh, he's going to be back, right?
Nope.
Oh, no. No, so I think they like those guys looked good comparatively to issues that were there beforehand. But it's not, you're right. Like you're trying to build a team that doesn't win 4 games. And that involves a professional offensive line, especially when you have the money for it and you've had the plan for it. And I did late night TV last night, so I'm not sure how many people were tuned in from 11 to midnight. And we were kind of just lamenting the fact or kvetching or whatever the right word is, where for 2 years now, you've known left tackle, wide receiver. And we're still sitting here being like, are they going to fill left tackle, wide receiver? I can't kill them necessarily because Cole Strange was a highly drafted player and they had to give him his chance. But going into this offseason, you had to know like the left side of the line from center over needed some focus. And thus far, you haven't gotten any of it.
So I was saying the same thing. I was on Callahan's podcast today, and it's like, it's March of 2025 and we're still a year later, or even like 5 years later, whatever it is, still being like, well, they need a left tackle and a wide receiver. It's like goddamn Groundhog Day over here. And like, I don't fully blame them for it. Cause like Chris Godwin, like they overextended themselves for Chris Godwin. And he was just like, no, I want to live in Tampa Bay. So it's like, okay, fine. There was basically nothing they could have done about that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they could have.
Stanley too.
And so Ronnie Stanley too. Ronnie Stanley decided before free agency started to re-sign with the Ravens. So like technically they didn't even have a shot at him. Dan Moore. So like, to this like hypothetical Patriots fan who, let's say like 9 months from now, is like, why the hell didn't they do anything about left tackle? I ask you right now, would you have liked to have paid Dan Moore Jr. $21 million a year? Like, that seems crazy, right?
He doesn't seem, now I haven't broken down the film of Dan Moore Jr. Doesn't seem like a great player. It speaks to the dearth of left tackles in the world.
Yes. Yeah. And like the Chiefs paid Jaylon Jones, I think that's his name.
$15 million
a year. So like, to the hypothetical Patriots fan again, who's lamenting not having a left tackle, would you have paid Jaylon Jones $16 million a year? That feels insane. So the one thing is that like Cam Robinson still out there, still a possibility that they could sign him to be their left tackle. I think a lot of Patriots fans would feel a lot better about the offensive line if Cam Robinson was in here. I still think they should do it. There are just like some murmurs about like, is he the best guy in the locker room? Is he like and like Doug Marrone would know, he coached him for a number of years. So like, maybe that's why this isn't happening. Basically, there's also, it's like, is he that good? But like, you could say the same thing about, Dan Moore. Is it Jalen Moore? I think it's Jalen Moore. It's not Jalen Jones. I think it's Jalen Moore.
Yeah.
But I digress. There just wasn't a whole lot they could have done about wide receiver and left tackle. There's less an excuse about guard, and center, they're kind of creating their own issues, but I know that a roster as bad as the Patriots, it's tough to fill every single need that you have.
But these are, I mean, when you have a franchise quarterback entering his second year, these are, I would argue, more significant than defensive linemen. Like, you know what I mean? Those are good players that are going to help you win in the trenches and potentially win games. But it's all kind of moot in the modern NFL if your quarterback has 2 seconds to read the field and throw the ball every play or run for his life. It's just you're setting yourself up for unnecessary hurdles. And you're right, the guard market was there. And like, let's say, Joe Thuney playing out of position at left tackle, not good. Joe Thuney playing out of position at center, probably much better than anything you've concocted this offseason. So and even if you just protect, we're used to seeing David Andrews work with whoever and sort of protect them next to him. If you have Onwenu and Joe Thuney, say, as your guards, they can protect a center who's maybe a step behind. And the fact that you haven't addressed either, it just creates problems. And I know there's a draft, and I know rookie linemen can come in and play. They can if you get the right ones. I mean, David Andrews made the team as an undrafted rookie. Brian Stork won a Super Bowl as a rookie. There's a lot of it's I don't want to say plug and play, but if you play football at a high level in college, you can step in if you're the right pick. But we've also seen them take a half dozen centers that never make the team. So it's not a sure thing by any means. So I don't know. It's not a great thing.
I think the other issue here is that they wanted to go into the draft without having to draft for need. And now, obviously, other things can happen in the next month and a half. But like, if the team stays at, like, if they do not find, let's call it like a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver, a left tackle, a left guard, or a center, you're basically going in the draft saying like, we need to take a left tackle in the first round. And then we have to take a center in the 3rd or 4th round. So you're forcing yourself to overdraft players because you weren't able to do enough. And like, the Patriots had a plan in free agency And I said this on Callahan's podcast as well, but like, it's the old phrase of like, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And like, as far as the Patriots' pursuit of offensive linemen go, other than Morgan Moses, they kind of got punched in the mouth. Like they were going after Drew Dahlman, didn't get him. We're going after Will Fries, didn't get him. They wanted Ronnie Stanley, didn't get him. They were in on other tackles, didn't get them. And then you wind up with Morgan Moses, who I think is going to be a good leader and a good right tackle, but he's also like 34 years old, $8 million a year. I have no issue whatsoever with that signing, but they had to get more based on who they've got right now.
Right. No,
And
it's a fact. It's just a fact.
So if they sign Garrett Bradbury, if they add Cam Robinson, they're looking a lot better. You still probably have to draft offensive linemen, but at least you have like okay starters in there. We are kind of waiting to hear possibly even tonight what happens with Cooper Kupp.
I'm not holding my breath. I've checked. Has not decided yet.
It has not been decided yet.
I'll be honest. I just want to state it for the record because I'm not afraid for things to blow up in my face 5 seconds after they happen. I don't think the Patriots have a chance at signing Cooper Kupp. It's just
feeling a little unlikely based on a lot of things that are out there.
I'm just putting myself in Cooper Kupp's shoes.
Right.
And there are places I'd rather live. As much as, Mike Hurley might love a 44-degree day in March, there are places in Florida that like I don't know if the Dolphins are on him. I don't know. Their cap is probably a mess. But you know what I mean? Like there's many other options that would seemingly be more appealing before I get to, Drake May looked good last year, but do I want to go? And there's all these questions. I don't think they have a reputation that has anyone jumping to play here. And so, and you can't overspend for a guy at that point of his career with all of his injury history. You can't just throw $20 million at him.
Right.
So I think I saw they expected to be $12 million for him or thereabouts. I think Jeff Howe had that. And they could afford that, but so can other teams. And I just don't know what scenario plays out where the Patriots are the top choice there.
And Mike Garafolo put out recently that like, there's the guys in the upper echelon who make like $30 million a year. Then there's the guys who make like $12 million a year. Garafolo was saying that he was expecting the Kupp deal to come in somewhere in between. So like maybe around what he was making with the Rams, which would have been like, I don't know. I think he was set to make 20 million. So if he comes in around 17 million, like if I'm the Patriots, I'd probably do that just to get someone in the building.
Right.
But like for Cooper Kupp, like our last week or last episode, we were talking about like, hey, Cooper Kupp, New England's not so bad, especially compared to Yakima, Washington. But he grew up in the state of Washington and has played his entire career in Los Angeles. You're going to move a 6-hour flight away from everything that you know. I'm assuming his family's still on the West Coast. Like that's difficult. A 6-hour flight sucks.
Right.
And like, if he wants to play for the Chargers, if he wants to play for the Seahawks, whatever it is, the Cardinals, whatever, like,
oof. If he picked the Cardinals, we'd have a problem, Cooper. Like the Cardinals are the most irrelevant franchise in the league. One of the most irrelevant franchises in sports. So that would be the ultimate kick in the pants in an off season. That's been decent.
Can't you just kind of picture him in a Cardinals uniform though?
Yeah, I'm a big Greg Dortch guy myself, so I would like to see them work off each other a little bit. But
Greg Dortch, a restricted free agent. I don't know if they brought.
They want to keep him. The Cardinals want to keep him around. I know that much. They like Dortch. Who doesn't? Who doesn't like Dortch?
I think Dortch, Kupp, and Marvin Harrison Jr. That would be a good combination there for Kyler Murray. You got Michael Wilson in there too. Trey McBride. You're saying they're irrelevant. They've got a lot more talent than the hometown team.
But they're just the Cardinals. Their most shining moment was, I don't know, an old Emmitt Smith running for them and then being in Jerry Maguire. Those were like 2 franchise highlights for them.
Kurt Warner days.
Like they allegedly played in the Super Bowl against the Steelers in 2009, 8. I just I'm not sure that actually happened.
What about the Boomer Esiason days? Do you remember those? Throwing to Rob Moore?
I don't. No, I must have missed those games. I must have been outside tossing the pigskin to myself.
Aeneas Williams, one of the all-time great corners.
Great name.
Yep. They had a decent running back. Who's the guy? Adrian Morrell, I think they had. Now we're just naming guys. Simeon Rice.
They had good players. Larry Fitzgerald's one of the best receivers I've ever seen. He played for a useless franchise. It was unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's too bad. Anyways,
Bolden, Aquan Bolden. Is that his name? Yeah.
yeah, I
Bolden?
remember where I was when who was the Jet safety that hit him in the face and broke his sinus?
Oh yeah, I forgot which
Eric?
safety it was.
Eric? Was it an
Yeah,
Eric?
might have been an
This
Eric.
let me see. It was before Jim Leonard. Jet safety Eric. I don't know. It's not coming up.
Yeah.
Eric Smith. How could
There
I
it is.
remember that? His name was Eric Smith. Anyways, Doug, I don't foresee Cooper Kupp picking the Patriots. I mean, he could, right? But I think if you're being flat about it, there's going to be 2 or 3 better options for him, even if it's a couple $1 million more. He's made a lot of money.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like is seeing people being like, "Oh, he's not that good." He's
Right.
the only issue is injuries. Like he is that good. So
Yeah, and like he would come in as the Patriots top wide receiver. And like if you acquire Cooper Kupp, you could still trade for Brandon Ayuk or T. Higgins. Like it doesn't preclude you from doing that.
right.
He would like that just creates an actual wide receiver, like an actual NFL wide receiver core,
Mhm.
rather than what the Patriots have had for years now, which is like a sub NFL wide receiver
Yeah.
core.
So if Cup signs somewhere tonight, I'll ring the alarm. But for now,
Right.
I want to ask you because you spent how much time down at Gillette today? How long was that little shindig?
The press conference was 45 minutes, and then so Zach Cox came down to help us. I was done with my work by like 3:30, and then I had agreed to do Andrew's podcast. So from 3:30 until 4-ish, about every 45 seconds or so, I would say, Andrew, are you done with your work yet? Andrew, do you want to do this podcast? Andrew, what's your status? Andrew, can we do this podcast now? And then eventually around 4, we did the podcast.
Nice.
So I was there until like 4:30.
Did they have the pigs in a blanket out?
They did not have any food for us. They had food for like family, friends, and staff for the Patriots. There was a what do you call it? A stanchion with like the ropes, roping us off from the important people.
The unwashed masses of the media stay over there.
Yeah.
I was the room where Vrabel had his introductory press conference, whatever lounge that is, rich people area. I was in a pre-Metallica show party there.
Oh yeah.
And they had the famous Gillette Stadium pigs in a blanket out. I think I had 1,000. I think I had 1,000 pigs in blankets.
It's impossible to get full off a pig in a blanket.
And it's impossible to stop. It's like,
yeah,
well, that was good. Oh, that one was good. This one had mustard on it. That was good. Oh no, I'm out of pigs in a blanket. Oh look, there's 7,000 in that tray right there. Shum, 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 shum. And you know what? I didn't feel good the next day. That could have had something to do with many of the things that I put into my body that night. But the pigs in a blanket were probably the worst.
Just as an FYI, stanchion, an upright bar, post, or frame forming a support or barrier. So
nice,
nailed it. Stanchion.
So what was your what was your takeaway of the new guys? That's we know
So
Vrabel, we know Wolf. What do you think about the new guys?
That's a good question. Milton Williams was not quite as, I'd say, like polished as the other guys, but that makes sense because he's 25 years old. But won a Super Bowl. Patriots are really excited about him. He wants to play more snaps this season, willing to play all across the line. That's my top takeaways from Milton Williams. I think that he'll be a great addition. He's a great athlete, great pass rusher. We'll see how he is as a run defender. Morgan Moses was the most impressive, I would say. Morgan Moses, I don't want to repeat this too much because I already saw it on Andrew's podcast, but you're listening to this podcast now. Morgan Moses was clearly listening to what like Robert Kraft, Eliot Wolf, Mike Vrabel, and whoever came before him, Carlton Davis, were saying, because he was like referring back. He was like calling back to things that they were saying. And I was like, this is so small, but if I'm Mike Vrabel or a coach watching this, I'm like, this guy is going to pay attention in meetings.
Good student in the classroom.
This guy has great listening skills. And I don't know, he was just, like I said, super impressive. Talking about how it's going to be a brotherhood, saying all the right things. I think he's going to come in right away and potentially be the best leader on the team. And that's what people have said about him. Great locker room guy. And I think that that's going to be the case in New England as well. Just very good. Carlton Davis, kind of a soft-spoken cornerback, similar to Stephon Gilmore, Darrelle Revis, Christian Gonzalez. but he was really excited to work with Christian Gonzalez. Said that he thinks
He doesn't play like a soft-spoken cornerback, so that's
neither does Christian Gonzalez.
No, but I mean, he's out there hooting and hollering and yelling.
Yeah.
I've never seen Gonzalez even wag his finger.
That's true. Yeah. So on the field, I think it's gonna be a little bit different.
Yeah.
When they introduced him, he got up there. He's like, "Oh, no applause," and like that's something that's like very inside baseball for reporters, but like the media doesn't like. It would be weird if we applauded a player.
It's weird when the young quarterback says, "Hey, how about a hand for the defense?"
Right. But so our guy Carlos, the like Patriots aggregator on Twitter, like put it out there by me like, "Oh, cold reaction from the media or whatever." And it's like, yeah, we didn't applaud, but like just so that people are aware, like half of the room, it was like split in the middle. Like half the room was media, like the other half was the players, the staff, and their family and friends. Like, so if anyone could have applauded for Carlton Davis, like it would have been the other side of the room. So I kind of want to like deflect the blame from myself for making that awkward, because it would have been weird if we had done it. And there were other people in the room who could have done that and didn't do it.
Right.
So
and didn't even Vrabel at his introductory press conference say something like there wasn't much clapping or something? And it's like, well, yeah, because there's a ton of media here and there's like one small section of friends and family. I was at this is a sidetrack, but Bobby Valentine's introductory press conference at Fenway Park in 2012. 11. I think it was December of 2011. And the Red Sox PR staff and all that filled half of the room, and the level that they cheered for Bobby Valentine's introduction. I was sitting there like, I'm not like, I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was actually disgusting just because of Bobby Valentine being Bobby Valentine. And that was nuts.
Jesus. Yeah. Anyway. That's pretty wild. And then who am I missing? Oh, Robert Spillane, a little bit like shorter with his answers, but seemed like a really good guy. Yeah, I think it's just a cool story for him to have come in with the Titans as an undrafted free agent. He was a rookie minicamp tryout, and now for his like first huge contract to be signed with like the guy who cut him out of training camp. Like it's a nice like full circle moment for him, I feel like.
Yeah. And I just came to this. This is the brilliance that flows through. His career path, they're not similar levels or whatever, or we'll see. It just reminds me like the climb that Edelman took, because Edelman became one of the most reliable, one of the most productive playoff receivers in the history of the NFL, but one of the most reliable pass catchers for a long time for Brady. But you look at the rookie year, struggled to get in the field until Welker tore his ACL in the last week of the season. Year 2, year 3, it wasn't really until year 4, right? Was it 2013?
It was 5. Okay. Yeah, it was year 5. So yeah, 2013.
And it was like, you know, the work and the scrappiness that eventually became a starter. I feel like Spillane's story kind of is not a mirror, but it kind of reminds me of that.
It's legitimately unbelievable that Julian Edelman never got cut. Like he barely contributed for 4 years. His best year up until 2013 was his rookie season. Like and like good on Bill for not doing that. Like full applause on that one. But that was kind of wild in the moment.
The punt return in the preseason in Philly like carried him for a long time. But even then, I remember covering the team like 2012, and Edelman would fair catch a punt at the 4 or something. I'm like, he's going to get cut tomorrow. He might get cut tonight because of stuff like that. But yeah, no, credit to them for seeing it, because I don't know. It was, you know, what always bothered me is that's famous, the call of Gil Santos of that punt return.
Yeah.
And he said it, but a million people said it. And they're like, he looks like a Wes Welker clone, or like a mini Wes Welker. And I was always like, they're both white. End of comparison. Like they don't look anything like each other. Edelman's like 4 inches taller. Welker's jacked out of his mind. Like there's they don't look anything alike other than they have the helmet on and they're white. And that always drove me a little crazy.
They were different players too. Welker was basically only a slot. Edelman was a Z/slot. So yeah, like Amendola was more of a comparison to Welker role wise than Edelman was. Not to get into that, but otherwise, just take like Eliot Wolf came out right away and was like, "We're not done. We still have needs to fill. Not a lot of guys out there to fill them right now, so we'll see how they handle that." I didn't love Vrabel saying that Alonzo Highsmith goes around being like, oh, guys are still available in May. Like someone in May is going to sign and join this team. It just really felt like what guys were saying last year. Where like we were at the owners meetings and they're talking about like, you know what, like waiver wire, like there's still guys out there that we can sign. There's still possibilities. There's still trades. Like they didn't do anything. So this year and it's no fault of Vrabel because he wasn't around last year for this, but like you're hearing the same thing in the second year now. They didn't do anything the first year. Now they actually got to find the guy this year. So it's certainly possible they will. Maybe they'll sign Cooper Kupp tonight. Maybe they'll trade for T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk. But like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, whatever. It's like, yeah. I don't want to hear it unless something happens this year.
One time Cam Newton was available at like the 4th of July, and that worked out for them.
Really did.
I want to address now. You mentioned earlier how everyone was coming at you on Twitter, when in reality it was probably 5 people. But like when you get, it feels like the whole world is yelling at you. So I understand that. So we got a couple of replies to your tweeting out of the video saying like, no, the Patriots didn't create another need. He was injured. The act of the end of David Andrews' career creates another need. I don't think you're not wagging your finger at the Patriots for creating a need.
Right. Yeah. I didn't see that people had responded to that. That's interesting.
Well, I was checking the Cup news and saw it, and now the whole world is coming at us, Doug. So
the whole world is coming at us.
For anyone listening, if Andrews is indeed not healthy enough to play football, that creates another need for the Patriots.
Right. And like, I think Ben Volen put out there that he was released with a failed physical designation. Like, yeah, he had surgery. However
he can't
long
play
ago. Like,
in the NFL right now.
Right. So like, that doesn't mean that he wouldn't have been healthy. And like, who knows? But yeah, there's a lot of things that led to it, but they didn't fill the need before they created the need, which is the issue here, is that now a lot of guys are gone and they haven't actually filled it. I don't think there was a whole lot else about the press conference. There are a couple other things to clean up. They signed Caleb. I've never said this name before. K'Lavon Chason today. Another edge rusher.
Very confident.
K'Lavon. Decent signing, $5 million, up to $5 million. He'll be a situational pass rusher. They re-signed Jalen Hawkins. Good special teamer, good depth safety. Do you have any thoughts on either one of those guys?
I do not, but I'm looking up the pronunciation to see how you did.
K'Lavon?
That's easier. Yeah, that makes sense.
K'Lavon Chason. How's the last name pronounced?
Chason.
Yeah,
K'Lavon.
Okay. K'Lavon Chason. So
that's my thought on that.
First round pick, drafted by Doug Marrone in the first round back in 2020. Some knowledge of the player. So yeah, I think that's good. Jonathan Jones and Dietrich Wise both signed with the Commanders. Not shocked. Dietrich Wise definitely wasn't coming back. Jonathan Jones didn't pan out for him to return, but like it just seems like they're trying to start over at a lot of different positions.
Great landing spot for Jonathan Jones. Like that's a fun team to join. That's a fun team to be a part of right now.
For sure.
I have a take. It's because we did. I kind of was. I don't want to say critical of the signing of Joshua Dobbs, but I was kind of like, we don't need every player that played for Vrabel to come with the team. But since then, Daniel Jones got $14 million. I want to say from the Colts, $14 million, which is crazy. And then the other side of the spectrum, the amount of money Mac Jones lost and now he was put in a bad position. I'm never going to say that playing under Matt Patricia was good for him and Joe Judge. I will never say he had a situation to succeed in, but he obviously handled it very poorly. He obviously, I don't know a delicate way to say, threw tantrums and was kind of a spoiled little baby about it. That's just kind of what I saw. I don't know if you saw the same thing when he's stomping his feet, screaming and all that. It wasn't the most appropriate, or it didn't serve him well because he signed a 2-year contract worth $7 million with $5 million guaranteed. That for quarterbacks is as low as you can get.
That means like the NFL has decided that Joshua Dobbs is better than Mac Jones based off their contracts.
And they may be right. They may not. Like, I'd still argue, and this isn't a unique take, if he was drafted by the 49ers and got the opportunity Purdy had, he would have been pretty good.
I think he would have been pretty close to Purdy.
He's an accurate quarterback. he has many holes in his game, but I think it would have served him well to play basically on a flag football team with 5 options that are great. Coming here didn't work out for him, but that's just, that number is crazy. That's I'm not shocked by it, but I guess seeing it is just a little bit alarming.
Yeah, and like Brock Purdy, it's I actually think I wouldn't be shocked if I don't know, if Brock Purdy got hurt or something. I wouldn't be shocked if Mac Jones had some sort of like Sam Darnold-esque season next
What's
year.
gonna hurt you is that the 49ers are in the process of getting rid of all of their
Well, that's
football
the
players.
issue. Yeah.
They will not have football players on the field in uniform because they will have gotten rid of them all. Like you have no Debo, likely no Ayuk, we believe. Like Kittle's getting up there.
Yeah.
They're even getting rid of Juszczyk. Like they're just tearing it down, it seems.
Yeah, like that is the issue, is that if he gets playing time, it would come on a team that has eliminated a lot of its best players, and it might be a disaster. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he looks better than he did in Jacksonville just by having Kyle Shanahan as his coach.
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting that you brought that up, because Mac Jones was the next thing on my list to talk about. That he's finally landing in San Francisco. Kind of the Trey Lance thing is still wild. Obviously, we don't need to get into it, but like just how little he's done in his career after being the 3rd overall pick. Like how it's so rare that he was the 3rd overall pick. And I don't think we even we haven't seen enough of him to even know what he is. Like we know by the fact that he's gotten 0 opportunities what the NFL thinks of him. But like how many times has a player been taken that high and just never even been given a shot?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we've been talking on this here podcast in the past few weeks about how teams get quarterback crazy in the first round. And I used last year and Penix and Bo Nix and all that but isn't that 2021 draft the ultimate thing? You have the Jets at 2, and like they knew all along. I mean, Lawrence was going 1. They're like, Wilson is our guy. And then the Niners, what they gave up to go from what were they? They were at 12. So to move from 12 to 3 to take Trey Lance, gave up 2 firsts and a 3rd in addition to that first, obviously. And it's just like, it didn't matter because the Niners were that good, but that is one of the dumbest in terms of, sometimes teams get dumb. John Lynch is considered one of the best executives in the league.
Right.
He pulled off arguably the dumbest move of the decade thus far.
They seemingly did it without knowing who they were going to take too. I bet that's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Because like there were still rumors at that point that they were going to take Mac Jones. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that was bonkers. And Trey Lance has 1,000 career yards. Like he's played so few games. I think he's still a free agent right now too. So that tells you everything you need to know. He just didn't play enough football. That 2021 draft was like they were set up to fail. Like Zach Wilson played like the biggest like nothing burger schedule in the world for BYU that year. So that was like complete fool's gold. And like, but scouts should be able to see through that. That's the like, yeah, he had great stats that year, but like, you should be able to tell that it's not. I don't know, you know.
And the fact that they weren't there in person, probably to see it, it's like, well, you can still tell when they're playing a high school team that it's not all that impressive. But no, I think
didn't play that year. Mac Jones had a good season, obviously, and so did Trevor Lawrence. Like Trevor Lawrence was good, but yeah, it was weird. I don't know.
It is crazy. I do think that is the perfect example of, as you look. I mean, it's still the dream scenario, right? The 3 quarterback for the Patriots. That 100%. 3 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3. So, excuse me as I work through my.
It's a dream scenario, even if 2 go in the top 3.
2 should go, don't you think? I mean, we'll see what happens.
Field Yates was pretty confident that 2 quarterbacks are going to go in the top 3. So if they could get Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, but like, so the biggest nightmare situation is if the Patriots are still looking for a left tackle, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, one of those guys is sitting there at 4, and they're like, actually, we have to take Will Campbell here. That would be like, that's just, that would be inexcusable. I would rather them have Vidarian Lowe at left tackle next season.
How about this, Doug? Because we've done all the teams behind them that might want to trade up for a quarterback, like Vegas, the Saints, whoever it might be. If you're in that spot, you're opening up to more teams that might want to trade you from, let's see, I don't know. Well, the Raiders got their quarterback, but maybe they want Abdul Carter, to pair with Max Crosby. I don't know. Maybe they want Travis Hunter to be in Vegas. Maybe they want Deion, they want to start building a Deion Sanders bridge. I don't know what they want there, actually. I don't know. But the point is, you're potentially, I'm not saying it's a dream to get in that spot and trade it, but if you were able to get, say, the 9th pick or the 10th pick and an early 2nd round pick and take Will Campbell, it doesn't suck. But like Campbell at 4 can't happen. I think we were all like, Campbell at 4 cannot happen.
It's tough because like if you need to take Campbell, then you have a fear of missing out on him if you trade down too low. I'm kind of the opinion that if you're at 4 and Carter or Hunter are there, I don't really want to trade down.
I want Carter.
I know that
I'm with you, but I'm just saying the deals might get
might get better. Yeah, no, it's true. And then you can get Will Campbell and then still take like 2 really good players in the 2nd round. There's definitely something to that. They need all the talent they can get. They need all the young players they can get. So like I could certainly stomach it, but I do think that Hunter and Carter are a step above the rest of the prospects in this draft. Yeah. So it would be a difficult pill to swallow to have one of those guys available and then still trade down.
And in terms of the other nightmare, you still have Russell Wilson out there. He's going to pick a team. The Patriots have to hope it's not Cleveland or New York.
Even if it is, I think they still take a quarterback. Like you're not locked into Russell Wilson. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Like he's too old. You can't lock yourself into Aaron Rodgers without having a young guy behind him.
Okay, fair
because
enough.
a young guy also could potentially motivate Aaron Rodgers too, the same way that Jordan Love did, and the same way that Jimmy Garoppolo did with Tom Brady.
But outside of that, those are your risks. I mean, like the Titans aren't signing Russell Wilson. The Titans are taking a quarterback, we assume, right?
I would assume so, yeah.
So it's really just the Browns and Giants. I mean, we'll probably find that out before we find out about Cooper Kupp, what Russell Wilson actually decides to do.
It's true. I have a couple non-football topics I want to get into real quick. Is that okay?
You do.
How often do you go to Starbucks?
Too much, like more than I care to. Like when you order the iced coffee and it's 5:05, and you're kind of like, that's not something I should be doing with my life. So more than I should, I would say.
Yeah, I have, for one reason or another, I just haven't been going to Starbucks or Dunks very often. I've been drinking more like Celsius, which is not great for me, but it is what it is. I have an issue with Starbucks. Starbucks menu is so large that like not even a quarter of it fits on their actual menu. If you go into a Starbucks, their menu is like, how do they even pick what goes on their in-store menu?
It's a fair question.
But like, what kind of business is that? You just have to know what we have. Everything's a secret menu item. Mm-hmm. You have to go to the app to figure out what they actually carry. This is a broken system. They either need to like have more things on their actual in-store menu or limit their menu down to things that can fit on their in-store menu. This is dumb. This is craziness. Point.
They also cycle so many like seasonal beverages through that you're just never quite sure what you can order. That's why if you're someone like me and you're ordering a black coffee, they always got that. So like that's my secret. But yeah, if you're trying to get one of those fancy humdinger drinks, that's a tough spot. I would say I have a tip. I have a tip for anyone out there because like their coffee's whatever. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. They have a new machine. I think it's called the Clover. And it's like a hopped up good Keurig, basically.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And you can't order, it seems like you can't order it during like rush times in the morning. But if you're getting a coffee during the day, there's usually Clover options and they're the same price and they're much better coffee. So that's my tip. Yeah. If you want like just an afternoon cup of Joe, treat yourself to a better brew.
That's a good tip. But yeah, Starbucks menu might as well just say like, if you know, you know, because it's of no help whatsoever. So my next topic. The movie, have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
It's funny. I was watching Chronicle with Penny the other day. We like to watch Chronicle, and they showed a DeLorean club, the Northeast Riders of DeLorean or something. It's an acronym, nerd.
Yeah.
And I was explaining the movie to her, and I was like, I've never actually seen it. So I've seen like chunks of it, but at no point have I sat down and watched Back to the Future from start to finish.
Fantastic movie. Number 2 is fantastic. 3 is so-so. That movie came out 40 years ago now, which is in itself kind of astounding. When I watched that movie as a kid, I thought that Christopher Lloyd was like 80 years old. He's got like white hair, crazy hair. I was just thinking about this because he was on the John
He's still
Mulaney
alive.
show. That's the thing. Like it's crazy that he's still alive 40 years after that movie came out, but he was only like 45 in that movie.
Hey,
which is in itself crazy. But like watching Back to the Future when I was a child, if someone had said like Christopher Lloyd is still gonna be alive 40 years, like I guess at that point it would have been like 35 years from now or whatever it was, I would have been like, there is 0% chance that man would have to be 130 years old.
people looked older back then. Like,
Yeah.
there's always the videos. I don't know if it's. I'm trying to think. They're like, if you were born before 1990, you're older than this guy in this movie, and it's like
Right.
someone from Home Alone or
Oh,
something.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And they look 55 years old,
Yeah.
but they were 28.
Right.
It's just, I don't know if it's the film quality or if people were just walking around looking old when we were little. I don't really know, but the film quality doesn't help. That's for sure.
It's so all like another one is like Steve Martin has always just perpetually looked like 55 years old.
The white hair, obviously.
It is. And like, as someone who's graying, I need to be cognizant of this. But like, when in 1985 or whatever it was, he was like 38 years old and just had like a full head of white hair and looked like a middle-aged dad or a 50-year-old dad. And once again, another man who's like still alive, still working, still on top of things. I don't know.
Still hosting SNL 50 as the initial on-stage host. I saw a meme. This is the midlife crisis portion of the program, and it was just a meme. Simple math, nothing mind-blowing, but it said 1991 was closer to 1955 than it is to 2025. So enjoy that one.
Passage of time.
Baby. I told you. I must have told you. I must have said it when I must have. I'm pretty sure I'm repeating myself. But when COVID started and I threw the Red Sox DVDs on when I was working at home, and Penny says to me, "Daddy, are all of these players dead now?" And then I locked her in the closet for 3 days.
Oh goodness, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, I think that'll do it for the Pat's Chat podcast. After
let's check Cup. Let's check Cooper Cup news. Any Cooper Cup news?
This is the worst case scenario that he didn't sign during the podcast, because now everything that we said about him is going to be outdated as soon as he signs. So, Mr. Cup, please don't sign until like, I don't know, tomorrow night maybe. And if he has signed, I'm sorry you have to listen to a bunch of Cooper Cup conversation, but this is a good time to tell you to rate, review, subscribe. Like right now, take it, like pause the podcast, do whatever you need to do. Go wherever you listen to podcasts, give it a 5-star rating, and give it a review. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. Hit the like button. I don't know what the hell the like button does, but all the other YouTubers say to hit it. So hit the like button as well. But yeah, I enjoy people talking about our podcast and telling us that they like it. So do that.
And if you are subscribed to it, just keep an eye out in the coming days and make sure you're still subscribed to it as we juggle things around a little bit, because we've done that. We've done that before. If you noticed,
we're really good at this. We're so good at podcasting.
It was duplicated, so we got rid of one. And what that did was it unsubscribed a bunch of people. So it's fine. It's fine. Just they'll find us, right? They love us.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.